Okay, we will move along to the office of the treasurer and ask that the candidates introduce themselves, starting with the incumbent. So we can hear.
Hello, I'm Melinda Worrell. I am running for re-election in the Pulaski County Treasurer. I've worked in the office for 28 years, 8 of those as your treasurer. I've lived in Pulaski County all of my life, and I graduated from Pulaski County High School. I have an AAS degree in data processing from the full community. I was the secretary-treasurer for the Southwest Park Treasurers Association for 3 years, and then president for that association for 1 year. I am now and have been for several years assistant chair for the Southwest Division in the Treasurers Association. When the county purchased new software in 2003, it was my responsibility to make sure that all the data was converted correctly. I would like to thank the Patriot and the Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd also like to thank my husband John, my daughter Tara, my son Dylan, and my mom for their continued support, as well as the Double Christian Church for their support. I'd also like to thank Rosemary Tickle for her patience and training and support throughout all of the years. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for introducing us, and thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Vern Hayes, and I'm running to be your next Pulaski County Treasurer. I'm running to update the Treasurer's Office for the 21st century and to make it more friendly for Pulaski County taxpayers. I believe I'm qualified for the job. I have a PhD in public administration from Virginia Tech, just down the road, and I studied the advantages and dangers of local government investment boards. I've taught public budgeting and finance to students at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and taught public budgeting to government officials at the American University in Kosovo. In addition, I've worked for a municipal treasurer's office before, and I was a consultant to Missouri State Treasurer Wendell Bailey. It's time to modernize. It's time to bring us into the 21st century. And I believe I can do that job for you folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with questions.
Okay, this question is for both candidates for treasurer. Once again, we'll start with the incumbent, Ms. Worrell. Tell us why citizens in Pulaski County should support you for treasurer over your opponent.
Pretty good. Let's see, I have been in the office, as I said earlier, for 28 years. I have worked with 2 treasurers. We have went a long way, and many changes have been made since I was in the treasurer's office. We are pretty much into the new age of computer. We see many ways people can pay, electronically, phone, drop boxes. There's quite a few options. We work closely with the Commissioner of the Revenue's Office. We have many, if they're not in the office at times, you know, it doesn't do us any good, because since they are the assessors and people have questions, we do need them to make corrections. So we work very closely with them, as well as, of course, every citizen in the county. I enjoy working with the citizens. I'm glad to have people in the office. I always have an open door policy. We have an excellent collection rate. Our personal property runs around 96%. Our real estate is 98 to 99% of the collection. We use quite a few things to collect these taxes. We have a debt set-off debt program. We have implemented the DMV stock program. I'm getting ready to implement an ACH program. So we can pull it directly out of their account. We do work closely with our Director of Finance. There are some things that they do in their offices that, as far as, you know, they run all the checks, the AP, the payrolls. We are responsible for the checks to make sure everything is cut correctly, but we do not key it in. We have no control over how they decide to pay. There are, you know, we take care of state income tax, dog tags, and quite a lot of things in there.
Thank you.
Mr. Hayes, tell us why citizens in Pulaski County should support you for treasurer over your opponent.
Thank you. Pulaski County is not a rich county, and therefore we have to maximize every tax dollar we have. We need an updated treasurer's office that takes advantage of all the options and technology available. A good example is how Treasurer Worrell said she's looking into ACH, or automatic clearinghouse payments to vendors. Yet not only have other counties been doing this for years, Roanoke City eliminated ACH payments last year for virtual credit card payments and already saved $102,000 a year for their taxpayers. Moreover, instead of one integrated treasurer's website, we currently run two with different sites. Why are we supporting two different sites when one well-built site is all we really need? For that matter, a good example is that the treasurer's office charges every dog owner a licensing fee. Yet when the Humane Society found a dog with a county license on its collar, loose this summer on Saturday night, couldn't find its family with that license. Why? Because the treasurer's office doesn't even print out a list of licenses and give it to the sheriff's office and the Humane Society leadership in case something happens during office hours, after office hours. A bare bones, out of date, let's just do our jobs and go home treasurer's office might have been good enough 20 years ago, but it's not good enough today.
Okay, and we have a minute for both.
Yes, as far as when I was talking about the ACH, I was referring to that to the taxpayer and not to company vendors. The vendor files are basically handled through our accounts payable department, which is under the direction of our director of finance. It would be their decision to decide whether or not they wanted to use the, ACH or so forth. I understand he was talking about the dog tags. There are computers in every office in the county. There are links provided to the dog pound and to the sheriff's office, but all they have to do is pull it up on the computer and they can search the dog tag name. They can search by number, by year, and they can find the address of to who that dog belongs to. So actually giving everybody a printout is old school. We have it on the computer where they can pull it up and get the quick information as soon as possible and not have to worry about a lot of debris.
Okay, Mr. Hayes, 1 minute for both.
Sure. As far as the dog tags, everybody can go to the Pulaski County Humane Society website, look up this summer when the dog was found on a Saturday night, and I suggested, why don't you call the treasurer's office or the sheriff's for the dog tag license list, and was told, we don't have this list, we've been through this rodeo before. As far as ACH payments or any other technological advancement, the fact is, even if you don't have control over that area, you can learn new ideas. People can find out what technology is out there. And you can go to the finance director and say, hey, here's a different way of doing things. This would help us solve the problems of not having enough tax money. We need a proactive treasurer, a treasurer that goes out there and examines what is out there, examines the latest technology, and even if it may not be your purview, tell other people about it.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have a second question.
This again is to both candidates. We'll begin this time with Mr. Hayes. What is the greatest single need facing the treasurer's office now?
I think there's actually two needs. The first need is to modernize the treasurer's office. We should already be doing things like merging vendor payments to a virtual credit card system like Roanoke City, which saved $102,000 in its first year of use. We need to not only tell board of supervisors when revenues will increase or decrease, but also provide explanations for why these things are happening. Instead of saying, I don't know, like Treasurer World did when I asked her about why dog tag revenues were falling. We need to provide the experience of a tax office when the county government proposes large tax increases, small tax increases, and expensive programs, so our elected leaders aren't going into making decisions in the blind. Most importantly, I think another thing we need is a treasurer who will actively seek out ways to modernize that office. I will sign up for the Treasurers Association of Virginia's Master Certification Program and the Government Finance Officers Association Certification Program, which is right down the street at Radford University. Mrs. Root did this in her commissioner certification, and Mrs. Crew did this in her clerk certification. Yet, I don't believe Treasury World has signed up and passed the Treasurer's Certification Program in the past 8 years. I might have a PhD, but I know there's always somebody out there smarter than me, and somebody who knows better ways to do things. If I can learn even one more thing about the office, by improving my own knowledge of the office and seeking out others and doing things like joining a certification program, it's a safe bet that I will do that.
Okay, thank you. Will that repeat the question?
What is the greatest single need facing the treasurer's office now?
The greatest single need is always more employees. The state has cut our offices quite a bit over the years. We are paid by the comp board. Let's see, it was probably several years ago, the state came through and cut our offices by 19%, which at that time we were very fortunate because the only thing we were reimbursed is salaries. We were very fortunate that the Board of Supervisors elected to reimburse and cover all of my employee salaries without losing any employees. We did, however, lose the one county employee that we had. Our office is very up to date, other than the virtual payments and such. And we have worked with the Director of Finances as far as vendor payments and so forth, and it's not something that they really want to do right now. They have so much on their plate right now. Usually when you're doing this, all the money comes into the county's money pit. So we actually have to let them know when money is available to actually go through their system. My pundits talked about ways to go into the Treasurers Association. I was in the office probably close to almost 15 years before the education program came along. I did help make some suggestions on some of the classes that were to come up. It's a very expensive type of thing to take. It's one that I thought the county could save on money because the knowledge was already there. I attend quite a few meetings. We have conferences, we have district meetings, Southwest meetings. We have a large Treasurers Association website. If we have questions, it's very easy to call another locality and discuss anything. We have a lot at our disposal. And my time's up.
All right, thank you. Okay, and James, we can have a vote.
Sure. It's not just modernizing things like the vendor payment system. For example, when you print out dog tags, you're using old dot matrix printers. I don't know anybody who uses dot matrix printers these days. I don't even know where you buy ribbons for those printers. Even my dad, who's 77, doesn't have dot matrix. He has a laser. As far as other things, the dog licenses, I paid for a 3-year dog license the first week of January this year, and 21 days later, I ended up getting a bill from your office saying that my dog was not registered. Your computer showed that my dog that I paid for 3 weeks ago was not registered. We can't afford to not modernize this office. Modernizing is how we save money. Going to Treasurers Associations and signing up for certification are how we learn how to save. We need a treasurer that will go beyond the 9 to 5 I'm putting my hours in to help us modernize Pulaski County.
Ms. Worrell?
Well, number one, we don't print the dog tags. The dog tags are actually printed by M&W printers in Lynchburg. We don't do anything with printing a dog tag. The only thing we print is a receipt. So that's kind of incorrect. The other thing we're talking about, getting the dog tags, the state changed all of our rules several years ago regarding dogs. We get, every time a dog goes to the vet, he is vaccinated with the veterinarians then have a 1 month to send the vaccination certificates to the treasurer. We in turn turn around and have to look at every vaccination that comes in to determine if the animal is in Pulaski County or another county. We then have to send those certificates to another county. We then have to wait, 90 days before we can send out any kind of reminder to the person who has the animal. So, and all of that has to be checked manually. There is no way to check it together.
Okay, thank you. And we have a third question.
We'll begin with Ms. Worrell. How can the office be more responsive to citizens? And if more after-hours office time is required, how would it be paid for?
You know, that's a good question. Our pay is mandated through the comp board with the state of Virginia. Our pay, we are not paid overtime for any time after. It is not allowed. So we have a straight 40-hour week. We've even thought about staggering hours for people, and mainly the biggest time you would want to do that is when you're very busy. Well, when you're very busy, you need all your people in there at one time. Staying after doesn't, we can't stagger at that time. We only have 3 people who are able to run the front window. There are lines. You get into where the mail is having to be pushed aside because there is so much traffic within the office. We get to everything as soon as possible. We can't just say, or I can't give anyone permission to say that we are going to work this many hours this week. You're going to work over, you're going to work Saturday. We have to have all of our people there. We are a limited office. It's a smaller community, but like I said, we used to have 4 people at the window running and collecting the taxes. Now I only have 3. So there are times when, yes, I am at the front window collecting along with everybody else when it is very, very busy in times. In the afternoon, you slow down because each person has to balance their cash drawer to make sure the money is there and matches everything that they've taken in. If not, those are problems. You have to see what's wrong with it. So we would have to go to the board and basically see if they would allow that. A lot of times we have asked the board in the past, and we're only offered comp time. All of us have so much vacation that we don't even have time to take that. So comp time is really not a help to us.
Mr. Hayes, how can the office be more responsive to citizens? And if more after-hours office time is needed, how would it be paid for?
Sure. My main priority as treasurer will be to make sure that the office is more friendly to Pulaski County taxpayers. I will include some evening office hours and some Saturday hours, even if I'm the one that has to come in after hours to do the work. People don't need to take off work and lose part of their salaries to come in and pay their property taxes and their vehicle decals and their dog licenses. And in fact, I'll get rid of vehicle decals and simply attach the fees to personal property taxes. If 39 other cities and counties in Virginia can get rid of vehicle decals, I'm pretty sure we can get rid of vehicle decals. I will work to extend property tax deadlines from 30 days to 60 days. Sometimes people need a little bit more time to pay taxes than one pay period, especially our senior citizens. And I'm going to negotiate with banks to get rid of the credit card fees when people pay their taxes online at the second duplicate treasurer's website. There's no reason that Cougar Express doesn't charge these fees, but the treasurer's office does. As far as only having 3 people that can do the job, that's why when I worked for the municipal treasurer's office 28 years ago, everybody in that office was cross-trained to do other jobs. We didn't leave the office where if a person got hit by a train or a car, that, oh my gosh, the whole office is going to collapse. If I'm treasurer, I will cross-train every single employee and make sure that they all know how to do the job. So that we don't have situations where it's, well, we don't have people to do it, tough.
All right, thank you. Ms. Worrell, you have 1 minute for a vote.
Yes, all of the employees in my office are cross-trained. They have been. Anytime we have a new program, there is someone cross-trained, so that is not new. The other thing that I was talking about as far as eliminating decals, that is not my job. That is the job of the Board of Supervisors. We tried to do that several years ago. We figured out how much it would cost to eliminate the decals, which would be 20 cents extra on the tax rate. Well, at the time, we had the tax rate increased, but they also elected to keep the decal. So I have no authority in eliminating the decal. That is a job of the Board of Supervisors in which they set the ordinances that I have to follow. 30 to 60 days would be great for them. Like I said, we work with the Commissioner of Revenue. And when we're trying to get the tax rate set through the budget and get the book out, it's kind of hard for them by April to have all of that done. So we have to wait for them to get everything in line. The code states that we are only allowed, or we only have to allow 14 days to pay the taxes to send it out. It also states that non-payment of taxes just because you did not get a bill does not alleviate any penalties or interest.
Okay, Mr. Hayes, you have 1 minute for a vote.
What I'm hearing a lot is, that wasn't my job, it's not my job, or it's not my authority. We need a treasurer that understands how to get things through the Board of Supervisors. I would ask if in 8 years we can't get simple things through the board, then there's definitely a communication problem between the board and its treasurer. And you say that you have cross-trained your employees, that they all know what to do, yet about 3 minutes ago you said you only had 3 employees that knew how to run the front line. There's a contradiction there. As far as the commissioner helping to get things done more easily, I'm sure that Commissioner Root or future Commissioner Bell would be more than happy to help get the taxes out 30 extra days. I'm sure that they would not look at the voters today and say, no, we're not going to work to do that. It's a simple matter of having a treasurer that will say, I can do it, instead of a treasurer that says, that's not my job, I don't have the authority.
All right, thank you. And,
May I say something?
that's all the time we have for the rebuttal right now. Thank you. Okay, and so that's our questions for the treasurer's race right now. Good questions, good answers. I'm glad I'm not up there.
My name is Vern Hayes, candidate for Pulaski County Treasurer, and I sponsored this YouTube video.